Imagine losing a World Cup knockout match because of a rule that, according to football's own lawmakers, wasn't actually supposed to be applied that way in the first place. That's not a hypothetical. That's exactly what IFAB, the International Football Association Board, the actual body that writes the laws of the game, confirmed after this tournament was already over. They came out and said that using the mistaken identity VAR clause to punish simulation was never valid under the current protocol. Not once, not for anybody. And it wasn't applied just once by accident. It happened at least twice during this World Cup, including in a quarterfinal that eliminated Switzerland and sent Argentina through to the next round. Here's the part that makes this genuinely strange. IFAB didn't just say, "This was a mistake, we're sorry." They said they liked how it worked and they'll consider making it an official rule in the future, which means FIFA enforced a law during the biggest tournament on Earth that didn't exist yet and got told, after the fact, "Good idea, wrong timing." Let's break down exactly what happened, who it affected, and why this matters way more than one bad call. If you're new here, this channel breaks down football's biggest controversies with confirmed facts. Today's story is a little different from the political and disciplinary stuff we've covered recently. This one is purely about the actual laws of the game, and how FIFA appears to have enforced a rule during the World Cup that its own lawmaking body says didn't exist in that form. We'll cover what the rule is supposed to do, what FIFA actually did with it, the specific cases it affected, and IFAB's oddly contradictory response to the whole thing. To understand why this is such a strange story, you need to understand what the mistaken identity clause is actually meant to do under VAR protocol. It exists for one specific, narrow purpose: correcting a referee when they show a card to the wrong player. Say a foul happens, the referee books player A, but video review shows it was actually player B who committed the offense. Mistaken identity lets VAR step in and correct who gets the card. According to IFAB's own clarification, the offense itself, what actually happened, whether it was a real foul or not, cannot be reviewed or changed under this clause. It only fixes who the card goes to, not whether the card should exist at all. That's a really important distinction. This clause was never designed to let referees look at a call again and decide actually that player was diving, so we're overturning this differently. It's strictly an identity correction tool, not a general review and reconsider tool. But that's not how it got used during this World Cup. During the tournament, FIFA applied the mistaken identity clause to two high-profile situations involving alleged simulation: players accused of diving or exaggerating contact to win a foul or card against an opponent. The most damaging case by far came in the quarterfinal between Argentina and Switzerland. Switzerland forward Breel Embolo was shown a second yellow card, meaning a red card and an ejection in the 72nd minute, shortly after Switzerland had just tied the score at 1-1. VAR flagged the incident for a mistaken identity review, examining whether Argentina's Leandro Paredes had actually committed the foul that was wrongly attributed elsewhere. The review concluded Paredes hadn't committed the original foul, and instead of simply correcting who the card went to, the yellow card was shown to Embolo for simulation. And because it was his second caution, he was sent off. Switzerland coach Murat Yakin didn't hide his frustration afterward, saying plainly that the referee got the decision wrong and that the call had derailed his team's game in a way that hurt deeply. Argentina went on to win that match 3-1 in extra time, a scoreline that might well have looked completely different with 11 players against 11 for the full 90-plus minutes. The second case involved U.S. defender Tim Ream, who also received a yellow card connected to the same kind of mistaken identity for simulation review earlier in the tournament. So this wasn't a one-off referee mistake in a group stage game nobody remembers. It happened in a knockout match, directly affected the outcome, and directly benefited Argentina, the same team that's already been at the center of nearly every officiating controversy we've covered on this channel throughout this World Cup. If this breakdown is giving you the real mechanics behind the controversy instead of just outrage, Hit like, it genuinely helps. And let me know in the comments, do you think this changes the outcome of the Switzerland-Argentina match if the rule is applied correctly, or does Argentina still win that game? I'll be reading through. After the tournament ended, IFAB issued an official circular clarifying exactly what went wrong. Their language was direct. A yellow card that isn't the second yellow card can only be reviewed to identify which player committed the offense. The offense itself cannot be reviewed or changed. In plain terms, that's IFAB confirming in writing that using this clause to reassess and punish simulation was never valid under the version of the protocol that was actually in effect during the tournament. Here's where it gets genuinely strange, though. In that same circular, IFAB said something that almost undercuts their own correction, that the use of the mistaken identity clause to deal with simulation during the World Cup was well received, and that it would be included in the detailed review of the VAR protocol going forward. Read that again. IFAB is simultaneously saying this wasn't allowed, and we liked it and might make it allowed later. That's an incredibly unusual position for a rule-making body to take. Normally, when an organization admits a rule was misapplied, the next sentence is about accountability or correction, not, but we enjoyed watching you break it, so let's consider making it official. It's also worth noting this wasn't a fringe, one-off situation IFAB stumbled into. A broader review of VAR protocol has reportedly been ongoing since March, and IFAB has acknowledged that incidents like Embolos are part of what that review is now examining, meaning this specific controversy is feeding directly into how the rule might officially change for future tournaments. If you've been following the wider story of this World Cup, you already know Argentina's knockout run has been shadowed by accusations of favorable officiating, from the Falklands banner controversy to the vanished red card in the final against Spain to Jude Bellingham's pointed comment to the referee after England's semi-final exit. This IFAB confirmation slots directly into that narrative, and it's not just fans saying it anymore. Egypt's manager, Hossam Hassan, was vocal after his own team's controversial round of 16 exit, suggesting bluntly that decisions were being shaped to keep Lionel Messi's team in the tournament, tying it directly to the money and stakes involved in Messi advancing. Now, it's important to separate two different things here because they're not the same claim. What IFAB has actually confirmed is a genuine rules error, a clause used outside its intended scope in a way that happened to benefit Argentina in a knockout match. What Hassan and plenty of fans are alleging is something bigger, a deliberate pattern designed to favor Argentina specifically. IFAB's statement supports the first claim as fact. It does not prove the second claim, and IFAB obviously isn't in a position to comment on referee intent. But when you're a fan watching call after call go a specific team's way, and then the rulebook itself gets rewritten retroactively in that team's favor, you can understand exactly why people stop giving FIFA the benefit of the doubt. So what actually happens next? Nothing changes about the results. Argentina's win over Switzerland stands. They're already through, already played the final. Rules corrections after the fact don't get replayed. What it does mean is that IFAB will now formally consider whether to expand the mistaken identity clause to properly cover simulation reviews as part of the wider VAR protocol already underway. If that happens, a future version of this exact scenario would actually be legal under the laws of the game. Right now, though, it wasn't, and FIFA ran an entire World Cup applying it as if it already was. This also raises an uncomfortable operational question that IFAB hasn't fully answered. How does a misapplication like this happen at the very top level of the sport in a knockout match with the most sophisticated video review system in football history sitting right there? If referees and VAR officials didn't fully understand the boundaries of a clause they were actively using to eject players, that's a training and communication failure that goes well beyond one match.